Hi folks, my name is Girish, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week. We have a returning guest. Her name is Sonia Hunt. So we talked about food allergies, and she talked about certain things in that episode, and she talked about her program related to food allergies. And we didn't really get into that, but today we will. There are three things according to this program. One is mindfulness, the mindset. The other is self-care, and the other is learning the advocate of it. So there are three parts to it, and we'll get into the basics of that in detail into that program with Sonia Hunt. Sonia, how are you? And thanks for coming Back to Basics again.
Thank you for having me again. Yes, I'd love to be a repeat customer.
Yes, thank you so much. You know what? I should send you an email saying here's your reward program for coming back.
I do like Starbucks gift cards.
There you go. So before we get into anything, I'm not really sure if it is the same answer or a different answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway because I ask this question all the time. What does Back to Basic mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And, you know, a lot of really what I spend my time doing, because there's so much information out there and life is moving fast and we're trying to make sense of it all. And there are people like myself, like yourself in the world, that are taking all of this information, synthesizing it, making it easy to understand so that people can, you know, take what I call micro steps, small daily steps to really change their lives and transform their lives. So that's what it means to me. That's what we do in my business. That's what my platform is all about. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you again for answering that question. And if I'm not mistaken, that might be a little different than the other one. So thank you again for making being a sport on this. So thank you.
Sure.
So Sonia, we talked about nut jobs, right? Your food allergy stuff that we talked about. What are your thoughts on the program? How do you help? So how does this work? The transition between the book and transition between that, which came first?
Yeah, so, and I'll just recap really quick, you know, for those who might not have caught the first episode that I was on. So my name is Sonia Hunt. I'm the best-selling author of a book called Nut Job: How I Crushed My Food Allergies to Thrive. And I am a food allergy activist, a TEDx speaker, and a health and well-being entrepreneur. And in my book, Nut Job, I researched and created a program that I call 3 to Be. And that is a holistic health and well-being program, specifically in this book for people with food allergies and dietary restrictions, to really offer them a path to healing their health, you know, healing different parts of their lives. So the way the program came about is, in my book, I talk about in 2008, I had my fourth very, very serious food allergy incident. It caused me to be in anaphylaxis, which means that my throat started to close up. I couldn't breathe. And I was rushed off to the emergency room. And I had hives all over my body for 1 year of my life after that incident. And, you know, I felt like I was at rock bottom, not only with my health, but I just felt like I was doing everything in life wrong, because how could I be in this place again for a fourth time? And, you know, I needed some program to get me out of where I was. And I did a lot of research. And, you know, there's all different kinds of exercise and fitness programs. There's all different kinds of diet programs, weight loss programs. None of that, you know, I didn't fit into any of those. And there was not anything out there for people like myself with severe food allergies who were looking to heal their allergies. And so I decided to create one myself. And that's what I call 3 to Be.
Yeah, thank you again for that, and explaining to the folks who didn't watch the previous episodes. So thank you again for that. So the program name is 3 to B program. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm pretty sure other people will ask this. What makes you the expert in this program as compared to the others? Because apparently there's no any other ones, right? But you created this. How does it make you an expert? Because people will ask this question.
Yeah, well, I'm actually, I've been dealing with and managing severe food allergies for 4 decades. So that in itself makes me an expert on food allergies. I've been living with it. I've had numerous incidents in my life. We've managed through all of those with my physicians. And in creating this program, it was done as well in partnership with my team of doctors, who includes primary care, allergists, functional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. So, this is not something that I kind of just dreamed up and put out there. This had a lot of, theory, testing, what should we do? What do the results look like, etc. And no program out there, will guarantee that if you do this, this will happen. Because I always say this, everyone's health is so personal. When you have food allergies, it is still very personal. I could have a peanut allergy, you could have a peanut allergy. We still would have different situations because of our environment, because of genetic predispositions, health history. So our peanut allergies are not the exact same. But Western medicine would treat them the same by saying, okay, number one, don't eat the foods that you're allergic to. Sounds easy enough, but it's not. And the next thing Western medicine as a protocol is to take, steroid drugs, different protocols, Western medications to suppress symptoms. And in 2008, after I left the emergency room, I said, that is not what I want to do anymore. I want to get to the root cause of why is all of this happening, and can I eliminate this? How do I do that? And that's the program, that I came up with.
Yeah.
And the final part of that is this was over a 10-year period.
Sure.
So decade is not a quick time to actually test and tweak this, but that's how long the program was coming together, and a lot of research and test and tweak. And research meaning, looking at medical research going on in the health and wellness space related to food allergies, looking at it related to gut health and food allergies, looking at it from all angles, right? Body, mind, spirit, and emotions, and pulling that together. And this program is not a 1 + 2 = 3. And I specifically did not want to do that because, one, I'm not a medical doctor, nor do I play one on TV. I am basically a curator, a guide who has literally lived through all of this, has, gotten through the other side, has worked with the medical professionals, has done the research, has done the testing and tweaking, and I'm bringing all this information now to everybody, to you. And I specifically wrote this program based on themes. And if you are following, and it is a 3x3 step, that's why it's called 3 to B. So there's 3 principles, and there's 3 steps in each principle. And if you follow along, you absolutely will get healthier, because the research shows that all of these things, if you start to change. So, for example, my very first step in the program is changing mindset.
Yes.
So, we don't have to be, medical doctors to know that research already shows that when you are starting to get out of negative mindsets and started to change to positive, what they call growth mindsets, your whole outlook on life changes. Things start to behaviorally change for positive. You start to see positive changes in behaviors, right?
Yeah.
In habits and patterns and behaviors. So this is how I pulled my program together, which is very different than other programs out there, for sure.
Yeah. So Sonia, if you don't mind, let's let's dissect, if you don't mind, the program, and let's go to basics on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to understand is, can we come up with a case study? Let's say peanut allergy, or do you want to try something different?
Okay, case study, and I mean, we can use me as the case study, right?
Okay. So let's take
Yeah,
you as a case study, right?
yeah,
So let's go through the first step of that, which is your mindset.
yeah,
Explain that. What would you do in that first step?
yeah. So as I, discuss in the book that when you have a situation like mine, where there's not one moment in your life where you cannot think about the food, you put into your mouth.
Hmm.
Your brain is constantly wired and on so that if you're at a party and there's a bowl of something, you cannot just put your hand in it and pop it into your mouth, right?
Right.
Doesn't matter if you've had a few drinks or not a few drinks. You cannot do that because for fear of dying, which is the case with, anaphylaxis and severe, food allergy situations. So the trauma and that burden that enlists on you, and now think about for decades, is very dramatic to somebody like myself. When you have been through being almost dead multiple times like I have, it's a lot of trauma. So how do you so now you're already dealing with the physical parts of it, right? Which are, you're trying not to eat the things that you're allergic to, but as we know, if you try to read a label these days of something, there's a gazillion ingredients that we don't even know. And now you're like, have to get out your computer in the supermarket and try to figure out what everything is, right? That's a big burden, right?
Yes.
Trying to figure this out. It's very, very difficult. Now you could be taking Western medications like I have been for decades. It causes a ton of side effects. So all of that trauma is not just physical. It actually is mental health. Takes a huge, huge hit and a burden. And what that does, if we use me as a case study again, is that mental health burden affects every part of your life, right? Your personal life, your friendships, your relationships, your work life, because your brain really needs to be on, correctly and thriving. But you're kind of stuck in this place where you hate, in my case, you hate food, you hate your relationship with food. You're also dealing with, in my case, again, cultural components of that, where you're going through all this burden, but we don't really discuss that or talk about it culturally. And it's a lot of trauma to deal with, for a day, let alone decades. So the first step in the program is, how do you start to get your hands around all of this to learn to accept your health situation, your situation with food allergies? How do you start to see things in a positive light? And on a daily basis, how do you start to change your mindset into one that's positive so that you can say, like I do today, sure, I have food allergies, not the end of the world. I know how to manage them. I live a very healthy lifestyle. And there's a lot of things in the world I can do and I can eat, rather than constantly focusing on the negative. I can't eat this. I can't go to that party. People are going to think I'm weird. This is what, children who become young teenagers, young adults, this is what we go through when we are dealing with food-related disease. And unless you are the person dealing with it, like I am, I don't think you really understand the burden and the trauma.
Yeah. So I mean, it brings the whole stage of depression also at the same time, right? And how do you trigger that into a mindset that, you know what, this is good for you, or this is not healthy for you? I mean, that's what's in the mind, right? And how do you recharge it, or what is it, the remapping it? Is that the right word? How do you remap
You're
that?
retraining your brain, right? Yeah.
That's it. You're retraining your brain to something else. So how do you do that? That's a great observation of how to do that. And plus, I think you brought up a good point about society. Society also big, plays a big role in it, and in many different ways. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and again, like I talk about this partnership that I've always had in my life, and that partnership again is with medical professionals. So introducing therapy. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, and especially at a younger age when teenagers, and I've even heard of kids as early as age 8, 9, 10 with COVID, seeing a therapist. I think that's amazing. And the parents that's like, I really give, cred to those parents, because children are dealing with so much more trauma and drama today, than they have ever been before. So now if you're in a situation, with severe food allergies, you have to add on top of that all this stress of like, oh my God, I can't eat this for fear of dying. And I can't explain how, severe that really is, and how much that affects your mental health. And it's so important for that to get addressed. So that is a huge area that I talk about. When I finally was able to change my mindset, I literally started healing everything, not just my food allergies, my overall health, everything started healing. And it was like, literally I started shining, like my skin, even started shining, my personality. And so, that is like a crucial step, in my 30-day program.
Because your confidence needs to be there when you're making that change. So that was very important for you. Actually, for anybody, whoever goes through this. Now, the other thing is self-care. So what does self-care mean? I mean, it's pretty obvious when you say that, but what does it actually mean to you?
Yeah, so I talk about, so I'm born and raised on the East Coast, and I moved to California after university. And as a young child, watching lots of TV and seeing California television, it always was portrayed as this like outside, everybody's working out, everybody's exercising. And I always in my mind thought that this was this healthy place that was going to heal me of all my food allergies. And I never really knew what the word self-care meant, to be honest, as a child living on the East Coast. And when I came out here, I saw people investing in their body, mind, spirit, and emotions. I saw actual businesses around coaching, around, of course, physical fitness, around helping people with their food struggles. And that was such a wake-up call to me. In the book, though, I call it safe care. So I have a mantra, and that mantra is be healthy, be safe, and be well. So the 3 to Be program are 3 steps to be healthy, be safe, and be well. And these are your pillars, right? Themes for your life. And the reason why these themes is a lot of it goes into the research I did, which actually started with my incredible parents. And I asked them that when you had children, what were the things that you wanted for them? And the 3 things that my parents said is, we're so grateful that our children, all 3 of our children were healthy, right? And again, they didn't look at my food allergies as this negative thing. It was like, okay, this is something we have to deal with. We're going to get through it, right? And I had to kind of get to their place. So they were grateful that they had healthy children. They always wanted them to be safe. Mostly that meant physical safety. As we got older and I worked on this program with them, it was, yes, mental safety, emotional safety, physical safety, spiritual safety, right? These are all concepts that we really need to discuss, these now. And the last part was they wanted their children to prosper in life, be well.
Of course.
Now, when I was creating this program, researched and asked, what felt like hundreds of parents, they all came back and in their own way said the exact same thing. This is what we want for our children. So when I created the program, I thought, if we start to embed these themes of health, safety, and wellness, prosperity into our lives, again, it starts to transform every area of our world, right? Not just our health, but our relationships, the way we think about ourselves. So self-care became to me, safe care. So in all things, safety comes first. when you're dealing with food allergies, that's the number one thing. Whatever I'm eating, I have to make sure it's safe. And then after that, questions like, is it good for me? I have genetic predispositions. Is it good for those? Is it, am I having too much sugar? Is it too much carb, etc. So coming up with your own safe care plan across kind of, body, mind, spirit, emotions is another big step, and just think of that as, all the things that you do for yourself to make sure that you are safe in all things, and that these are things that are actually good for you. Yeah. So there's, again, detailed steps on what I did and then how you can go, start off your journey in that.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for that explanation of safe care instead of self-care, and thank you for that. Because the way you were speaking, it was coming things in my mind that I'm doing, and it's pretty similar. So we can talk offline on that part.
Sure.
So the third one is the well, which is your learning to be an advocate, right? What does that mean to you? What does that mean?
Yeah. So part of prosperity is not just that, prosperity for yourself, right? You want this for everybody. And the first two parts of 3-to-B are all focused on going inward. This last one is actually focused on going outward. So Be Well is all around what I call humanizing food allergies and advocation. So start figuring out and understanding, again, through things that I've outlined in the book, of how do I start to help other people how to help me. So if you think about, a normal life of going to someone's house to eat, going to a restaurant to eat, all of that, going to a party, that all is very traumatic and can be dramatic for someone with severe food allergies. And so, I look at that last step as my duty to help others to help me. So if I'm going to a food restaurant, it is absolutely my duty, if I want to eat there, to contact the chef, contact the restaurant owner, contact the server to say, hey, I'd love to eat here, but I've got these food allergies. Can you guys help me? And start building that relationship. And a lot of this is helping to educate others on how they can help you. And that's what, the Learning to Advocate chapter is about. And that's what overarching Humanizing Food Allergies is really about. Because in the restaurants, they do not go to culinary school. They do not have to learn about food allergies. There's no programming about food allergies. So rather than me getting very upset that the chef didn't know anything, I said, you know what? Let me teach him. Because as leaders, isn't that what we're supposed to do, right? We're out here learning and we're sharing and we're helping to educate others. So that's what prosperity looks like in the 3-to-B program.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for that, and recognizing that things are changing here. So what I have noticed, maybe I'm wrong, what I have noticed in the last 12 years, we had, let's say, hamburger, and then you see calories. Okay, that was a big change, because you need to tell the person who's, let's say, cholesterol issues or obesity issues, that's what the calorie is for that hamburger. Okay, now in the last 10, maybe 12 years that I have noticed, okay, that now we're coming to a point that we're dividing food to gluten-free, nut allergies, and some other allergies in there. And they do specify that, you know what, these are the allergic ones that you are allergic to. Don't touch those. I have seen that in most of the restaurants. So I think we are seeing a change now. Were you not seeing the change now, or were you just not seeing it at that time when you first started this program?
Well, that's one aspect of it, right? Like, this program is to help people heal across body, mind, spirit, and emotions when you're dealing with severe food issues like food allergies and dietary restrictions. So for the entire food allergy community, we have been reading and understanding labels for decades. This is not new to
Right.
us.
This is not right.
Not at all. So, but for anyone who has now an adult onset of food allergies, this might be new for them, right? So think about what happens. If you are new to food allergies and you're a young adult or adult, all of a sudden in your brain, massive stress. How do I deal with this? How do I handle this? Do I handle this? Or how bad is the issue, right? If I don't go into the hospital every time I eat it, should I eat it? There's a lot to figure out. Now it's like, if you really, really want to get focused and you really want to, transform your health and your well-being, then you are going to start to, understand the root cause of why this is happening, and then understand what are the right foods that your body, should be eating and should not be eating. And what are those ingredients, right? This is kind of all laid out in the book, in the program as well. And those are the ingredients that you consume, right? So everything from like the source of the ingredient to how much of it to what effect it has on your body, that's everything you're going to start to understand if you really want to, be healthy, and transform your health. So it really kind of depends. I mean, the labeling has gotten better, but it's just as confusing to really understand, especially when there's so many names for ingredients. Like, that is not at all, in this time, it's not easy for people still.
Yeah. I think I think the way you're saying it is, I think we need to standardize certain names throughout the nation, around the world, that it needs to be the same. Like, tofu should be tofu, or chicken should be chicken, or nut allergies will be what? What does nut allergy mean? And you spell it out. Is that what you're trying to say? We need to spell it out.
Well, there is labeling today, but it's still very confusing. So we need to get much better
Yeah.
with standardization of the labeling. That's really what it is. And this is all about transparency, again, from like, where is the food grown to how is it manipulated to come into this product. And then we have to be very transparent about all of that on the label, so that someone like myself can say, okay, now I easily understand this, and yes, I can eat this product.
Yeah. So I think we need the health department to come down to the restaurant saying that we need to standardize this, basically.
Well, it's the food companies, really. In the United States, the food industry is for profit, and it's all the food companies. And, because for the chefs in the restaurants, once that is all done, then they can actually as well understand. And when they are writing menus, they can label their menu accurately. But it really starts with the US government, and it starts with the food companies.
Yeah. Thank you again, Sonia, for that. One last question, if you don't mind. I know
Yeah.
we talked about all these three items in your program, but with your, let's say, test case, or someone else, I don't really care, does it really matter which order you start from? That's one question. The second is, have you had any person that has one or the other when they started this program?
One or the other, meaning?
Let's say the mindset, the self-care, and the third, which is the wellness, right? So any of those three parts, do they came? Let's say if I came in, I think I'm a self-care person. Has there been a case that someone has come in saying that, oh, you know what, I have this one, but I don't have the other two? Has that happened?
Oh, I see. Okay. So what I say in the book is, I wrote it specifically so that you can either read it, once there's 5 parts of the book, and parts 2, 3, and 4 go into the 3 to B program. And I say that you can, read them from beginning to end, or you can kind of jump around if there's a step, right? So I specifically wrote it like that. So I think it leads to your second question, which is like, so therefore, if I'm really understand, say maybe in the mindset part, as opposed to like another step, can I just read it that way? And absolutely, you can kind of, jump over. The workshops, I have 3 to B workshops that we'll be taking out in the new year. And those workshops as well, we can either dig into like one big step, because a step like changing mindset, right, is such a big step. Or we can do, an entire 3-month process once a week, right, of the 3-to-B program end to end. Again, I challenge everybody to think of it this way, right? This is the only vessel that we get during our time on this earth. It is so, so, so important to feed it with the things that it needs to be fed with, that is healthy and positive, and where you could be growing and thriving to experience all the amazing things on this earth, right? Yeah. We don't want our time to be cut short because we're so unhealthy, right?
Totally,
or because of the anaphylaxis incident. So I challenge you to get very serious about your health, transforming your health and well-being. And this program absolutely can be utilized if you have food allergies, if you have food intolerances or sensitivities, if you want to lose weight, if you're dealing with, type 2 diabetes. You can absolutely use this program because, again, it's based on embedding these very holistic themes in your life. And once you start to do that, again, the research is showing that you will get healthier. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you again, Sonia, for that. You came on my first episode and we talked about nut jobs. And then second, we talked about your program. Is there any more secrets that we're going to come up with for you coming back to Basics?
There's a lot that's launching in 2022. Right now I have my hands full promoting my book. And you can, I'm really, really, really grateful to everyone who has purchased it and read it so far, and to anybody that does. It's been a dream come true. And like I said earlier, I really, really felt like this information is my duty to share this information with everybody out there, because if you missed it in the first episode, the big twist in my book is that by using the 3-to-B program, again, very dedicated, for 1 decade, I eliminated all of my food allergies.
Yeah.
So I am in remission, and, life is very, very different for me now. I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like. But it is, I really want to share this information out there with people.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on Back to Basics. Do you have any one quick last words before you leave today for Back to Basics?
No, just I would love to connect with all of you. I'm at soniahunt.com, SONIAHUNT. Same all over social media. My book is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I read every single email, so I'd love to just hear from you. If anybody wants to chat or get advice. But yeah, I'm really, really proud of the book and all the things to come in 2022. So stay tuned.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sonia, for coming here, and hopefully in the near future of season 2, much later, when I get that book in my shelf, I would put it in the back there and show that I got your book. So thank you again for all the support that you've given me so far, and thanks for coming on Back to Basics. And we'll definitely keep in touch, because there's a lot of people that I know who had food allergies, and we need advice from you. And thank you again for all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, we spoke with Sonia Hunt today, and we talked about the basics of, what did we talk about? Food allergies. We talked about the food allergies is good or bad, or is it just there to be? But there's one thing that she did say, and I totally agree with that this is the vessel that we live in till we're here on this earth. Take care of it, nurture it, understand it, and then study it, and then come up with this book that she created, or I should say. Well, as usual, as always, there's a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and Back to Basics, here's a quote. Sometimes I wonder on how can we be allergic to dust when the universe is full of it. Well, we can't help about the dust, but there's other thing that we can help is try to eliminate as much as you can and enjoy world as we know it. So guys, as usual, what do we always say at the end of the episode? everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and see you next week. And please comment as much as you can on my episodes. And there's always three things, which is the best thing in the world, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. Guys, take care, God bless, and I'll see you next week. Next week's episode on Back to Basics.
Not getting, as much sleep or as good quality sleep as they could. So I think that's, on one hand, very much a social problem, a problem that all of us are embedded in. All right, and then you ask the question of what do we do about that? Should we take naps? Should we use other things? And that feeling of exhaustion is the other question of energy, right? I think every single person on the planet wants to feel energized, right? When you wake up, when you go through your day, right, you want energy. It is this most valuable resource, and it's great when we have it, right? And it's pretty terrible when we don't. And now the question of where does that energy come from, right? Sleep definitely is the big thing that is going to recharge that battery for the energy.